When lines intersect a circle, they could intersect inside the circle, on the circle, or outside the circle. And the same formula works no matter what. When they intersect inside the circle, the angle is like an ice cream cone, and the arc is like the scoop of ice cream. The vertical angle also makes a scoop of ice cream. So if the angle was X, this scoop was Y, and this scoop was Z, we will use the formula, the cone equals half the sum of the scoops. The cone is X equals half. The two scoops are Y and Z. When the lines intersect outside the circle, the angle is still the cone. And you have one scoop of ice cream that works normal, but you have a second scoop of ice cream that goes the wrong way. It goes into the cone. So this one will be a negative scoop. So if the angle is X, this scoop is Y, and this scoop is Z, then the cone equals half the sum of the scoops. This time, the angle is X, the positive scoop of ice cream is Y, but Z is a negative scoop. So Z appears as negative Z, just like ice cream was dug out of the cone. The third situation is when the lines intersect on the circle. The angle is still the cone, so the angle will be X. The scoop will be Y, but the scoop back here is just a point. There is no measure of ice cream back here. So this one will always be 0 degrees. So when the cone equals half the sum of the scoops, the cone is X, one scoop is Y, and the other scoop is 0 because there's no ice cream on that side. So those are the three situations when lines intersect a circle, and all of them use the same formula. Remember, when the intersection is on the circle, one scoop is 0 degrees. When the intersection is outside the circle, one scoop is negative. And when the intersection is inside the circle, you use one scoop that the angle opens up to, and the other scoop from its vertical angle. This is lesson 10.62, secants, tangents, and angle measures. In these questions, we have a circle with two lines drawn. It could be secants or tangents. We'll be working with arc measures and angle measures. To find the angle and arc measures, you need to consider that what we have for the angle is an ice cream cone. You also have a scoop of ice cream. 1 scoop of ice cream for the cone and 1 scoop of ice cream for the vertical angle. The formula we will use here is that the cone is equal to half of the sum of the scoops. This formula will work whether the intersection of the 2 lines is inside the circle, on the circle, or outside the circle. Find x. Well, the formula says that the cone is equal to half of the sum of the scoops. The cone is x. The sum of the scoops, we have 65, and the vertical angle's scoop, which is 43. Work that out, and x is 54. Find x. Again, we have 2 lines that intersect the circle with angle and arc measures. The cone is equal to half the sum of the scoops. The cone is 36. The scoops are x and 68. Now solve for x. Half times x is 1/2 x. Half times 68 is 34. Subtract 34 from each side. 2 equals 1/2 x. Since we have 1/2 x, we would have to multiply both sides by 2 to get all of x. So x equals 4. Find x. This time, we have 2 lines that intersect a circle, and we're working with angle and arc measures. The cone equals half the sum of the scoops. Here, the cone is 16. The scoops, we have a positive scoop of x, and here, this scoop is dug out. Since it's dug out of the cone, it will be a negative scoop. So negative 24. Now solve for x. 16 equals half times x is half x. Half times negative 24 is negative 12. Add 12 to each side. 28 equals half x. Since 28 is half x, we'll multiply each side by 2 to get all of x. 56 equals x. Remember here, when the scoop is dug out of the cone, it will be a negative measure. Find x. We have two lines that intersect a circle, creating angle and arc measures. The cone is equal to half the sum of the scoops. The cone is x. The scoops, we have a positive scoop of 105 and a negative scoop of 29. This scoop digs into the cone, so it's negative ice cream. This is half of 76, so x is 38. Remember, when your scoop digs into the ice cream cone, it's a negative scoop of ice cream. Find x. Here we have the cone that's x, and we know the cone is equal to half the sum of the scoops. One scoop is 88, so the cone is x. One scoop is 88. The other scoop, since this intersects exactly on the circle, then this scoop is 0 degrees. Since there's no arc right there, it's just a point. So that sum of scoops will be 88 plus 0. X equals half of 88, which is 44. So when the lines intersect on the circle, the vertical angle scoop is going to be 0 degrees. Find x. Again, we have an ice cream cone, and we know that the cone is equal to half of the sum of the scoops. The cone is 54. The scoops, one of them is x. The other one, since this is just a point and not an arc, that has a measure of 0 degrees. Remember, the scoops are the arc measures. When the arc measure is just a point, it's 0 degrees. Solve for x. X plus 0 is just x. And since 54 equals half of x, we'll multiply both sides by 2 to get all of x. So x is equal to 108. Find the ice cream cone, and the cone is equal to half the sum of the scoops.